Hello everyone! In this review, we're going to finally be taking a look at the X-Shot Pro Longshot. Not to be confused with this, the old Nerf Longshot, but we'll talk about this another time. Actually, I have a YouTube Shorts on this if you're interested. I also have a really cool mod idea that I don't think I've seen before. I gotta find more time. But back to this. I want to address a couple things. X-Shot has been around a long time. I am a big fan. They used to get a little bit of a hard time because they did an awful lot of reshells instead of new blasters. But those old blasters were really good and solid. I actually just did a video on how I think this is probably the best all-around blaster for anyone starting. It's the X-Shot Reflex 6. So I'm a fan. But they have been broadening their horizons. I just recently went over the entire Insanity series, which is a really cool thing that they're doing. They have the X-Shot Skins line. They are doing a lot of neat stuff. And a lot of people are saying, wow, this is really X-Shot's year. From things like the Pro to this cool gimmicky lever action lock blaster that actually has a combination where you scan a QR code. I'm impressed. I think they're doing cool stuff. But here's the thing. Now that they've drifted away from those familiar shells, those tried and true designs, and they're going into different things like this, and the motorized Ragefire, and the Mad Mega Barrel, and all of those, they're exploring new designs, but that means they're not as tried, and maybe not as true. As much as I am a big fan, I have been having a lot of breakage. This is my first Ragefire that I received, and it is broken. That lock blaster I was showing you, this is also broken. Someone tried to prime it while it was half locked, and just the plastic and the materials that this is made out of works just fine under careful use, but I mean, these are kids' toys, and kids are not careful. And that brings me to the big elephant in the room with this blaster. This blaster is only $30 US at Target, which is just insane. Actually begging the question, Beret and I were on a stream the other night and we were chatting.
I mean, you have to wonder, what was the competition for the X-Shot Pro Longshot itself? I mean, the Nexus, do we have to compare the Nexus to it? I don't know. What is the fair comparison? Because that's way more expensive. Yeah. So they still could have undercut it significantly. I think X-Shot's competition is X-Shot. Right. Like they always are cheaper than everyone else. So they just made it as cheap as possible. And unfortunately, it just bit them a little too hard on that one.
It's cheaper in the US than a lot of their other blasters.
The biggest complaint I've seen about this, besides the fact that this clear plunger tube is a little prone to breaking, is that why didn't they just make it cost a little bit more and maybe put a better plunger tube in there? I mean, I would say the main reason is they didn't know. Maybe they had some good luck in their testing. Maybe their testing does not use it like we do in the Nerf hobby and community, but it is really, really, really common for these plunger tubes to break. And a lot of people are saying, well, hey, it's only 30 bucks, just get a new one from Out of Darts.
Most people are not buying metal plunger tubes from Out of Darts. They should though. Go to Out of Darts and get your metal plunger tube today.
Use code Maritime Phone.
This thing is a beast and a great entry and a great way to mod. And I agree with all that. But we have to remember modding is a very small part of the community and people are just buying these off of shells. So the big fear I have right now with a lot of these awesome new blasters that I'm really enjoying is I worry that they won't be around in 10 or 20 years. They'll just all be broken. And that makes me a bit sad because I have a lot of fun with blasters that have just gone through decades of play. That's just my little preamble. X-Shot, if you do see this, I appreciate everything that you've sent my way. I am a big fan, and I know it's not just as easy as tapping a button and increasing the thickness of plastic like it is when you're 3D printing, but I think as you're exploring all these really awesome designs, it might be time to start thinking about, you know, how can we get that durability up a little bit so it can really stress test what we're out there doing with these. That aside, I don't want to keep being unfair to this really cool looking blaster that I'm very excited to get. Even with the issue of those cracked plunger tubes being common, kind of letting some air escape and lowering your FPS if you don't know what I'm talking about. Even with all that, I'm planning on doing some regular league nights of play, and this is going to be my #1 recommended. Hey, you want to play and you want to play with your own blaster, because most people do, go to Canadian Tire, get one of these, and for 50 bucks you have a competitive blaster with anything I have. Let's open this up and stop talking. So I just tried this out and did some chronograph readings, and I think I might understand why people like this so much. 142. I think that was maybe a bad dart. 146, 130, 142, 133, wow. And with long darts, 125, 120, 101, 108, 102. Firing long darts, I was getting 100 to 120, which is a great speed, and this blaster is so comfortable and easy to prime. This barrel actually is a scar barrel. If you look down inside, there are little lines in there that put spin on the dart as it leaves, making things a bit more accurate. That's cool. I didn't know that that was built right in. The other thing I didn't know, probably because of all the decorative bits and everything, I didn't know that this was extendable. There's actually an actual button down here. You can release that and you can pull it out without hitting the button and then pull the button to put it back in. So you can get even more length on this, which is a really cool feature. And yes, it has slam fire. I'm not usually a big fan of slam fire, but for the speed you're getting, it is remarkably smooth. The sights are actually pretty good. It's easy to hold. It's a bullpup blaster. That means when I prime it, see if you can see here, it loads in the dart from behind my handle and it's ready to fire. Wow. For short darts, it has this little magwell adapter, which actually fits in there pretty good. This trigger takes out this Talon compatible mag, and this one back here removes your adapter, much like a Nexus Pro, bro. And there's a safety. And short darts, we're getting like just shy of 150. That is an easy prime. It is Talon compatible as well. It's interesting, these look like Ruby darts, but those are darts on them. These are not. These are X-Shot's new darts. This is actually really surprisingly good. I was not prepared to like this as much as I do. Speaking of the X-Shot skins lines, obviously this one has a skin on it as well. Speaking to that durability thing, my plunger tube is okay. It is not cracked, but this is the piece in question that after a lot of use, it seems like it is very prone to cracking. There are replacements out there.
Go to Out of Darts and get your metal plunger tube today.
So, I mean, hey, this could end up being a really good first mod project for you. You can actually get this and an upgraded plunger tube, maybe a spring. Get this thing hitting 200 FPS if you want for less than a Nexus Pro, bro. This is so much cheaper. You do have to do some work, but then it's so good. Again, I kind of have a problem with the fact that a lot of people do have to do that work. It seems pretty common. I've heard some rumors that if you get a new one of these, that maybe they fix that problem, but that is unconfirmed. A kid would not have that much trouble using this because the FPS is so much higher. Parental supervision and eyeglasses and all that is more important than ever. My biggest fear with blasters becoming more common and higher FPS becoming more available is parents not knowing what they're getting kids. This is something that you should treat with the same level of safety I think that you should like a BB, something like that. You want to be very safe with this, but it's so good. It's so good. It has a pick rail up here. This foregrip is a little tiny bit wobbly. Those are not real bolts. I'm not sure if I think you might be able to unscrew this foregrip and change the foregrip. I'm not sure. And I thought I'd take a minute and take that grip off, and look at that. We have a rail down here that you can put on your own grip. I actually don't mind this grip. We don't have to prime this blaster to load or unload it, which is always awesome. This is just a great blaster. I'm gonna stop gushing. Get one of these, get yourself that plunger tube. You know what? It's only $30 in the US. It's only 50 Canadian. If you're interested in this, start playing with it, put in an order, get that plunger tube. I'll put links down below. Do a little tinkering to this. You'll have something that people pay hundreds of dollars for, and you will have a very, very good, comfortable, competitive blaster. X-Shot, you're doing all the cool things. I love the Rage Fire. The gearing, I think, is a little delicate. I love the lock blaster. I think those gears are a little delicate. Again, these are blasters that you sure don't want those to be loners to just randomly hand to kids. You gotta play with them carefully, and that's a hard thing to enforce. I love your stuff. I love this more than I even thought I would. X-Shot was kind enough to send me a bunch of their gel blasters, so I'll be talking about these at some point in the future too. So there you go. This blaster actually sidetracked me. I was kind of prepared to do a little bit more of a on quality, which I guess I did. I always wanted to be fair. I like all this stuff. I'm having too many breaks. I could see this becoming a favorite for sure. You know, I hope that people who do get it and have the issue, keep your receipt. I guess if you're just kind of the average Joe and you're not going to mod, use it as your chance to mod if it breaks. And you know what? Maybe you'll have great luck and get a bunch of use before it does. You can't beat it for the money. Until next time, I'll see you guys soon.